Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com. Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. I am your host for this fine Tuesday evening, Mr. Brian Pierce. Seat Time, the online show for the off-road enthusiast. If you like dirt bikes and beer, this is definitely the place for you to be on the internet. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to have a fun show for you guys this evening. We're talking to Mr. Kailub Russell, four-time GNCC XC1 Champion. That's pretty insane in itself. Member of the US ISDA Team USA ISDE Team. I don't really know. We'll figure out if he feels that there is a more appropriate way to say that, because he's better at riding dirt bikes than I am, so I figure we'll give him full credit for that. And we'll talk to him a little about what's going to be going on for 2017 and all the fun stuff that's out there. It's going to be a good time. After that, we're going to talk to Jacob Michna, I don't know. We're going to find out how to pronounce his last name, but he's been in charge of the National Hare and Hound, all the stuff that's going on the West Coast. It's going to be great to talk to him about what's going on in 2017. But this is Seat Time. We, of course, thank you very much to our sponsors, Fly Racing. You can find out more about those guys at flyracing.com, Kenda Tire at kendatire.com, and SRT Off-Road at srtoffroad.com. I'll talk a little bit more about those guys between our guests. We're going to jump right in. If you can, jump into the chat room, tlk.io/seattime. And we can answer some questions for you guys for Mr. Kailub Russell. So, Mr. Kailub Russell, how is your evening going, kind sir?
Riding videos and stuff. I told Lane, he was asking me before Ironman if I wanted to go ride, and I told him, yeah, I probably won't ride until I go back to Florida, which that's probably going to be in January. So,
good Lord, man. You're like, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to lie, there's been a lot of riding this year, and I might need a small break. Well, With riding, is it true that you've been part of the Baker program, like the Alden Baker Factory kind of stuff?
Yeah, I spent 2 months down there this summer. July and August, I was down there, and yeah, it was a cool experience. It was awesome to get to ride with. Well, at the time, I just went down and was riding with Marvin because everybody else is hurt, and then the whole month of August, I believe. Yeah, that's when Jason came back and Dunn started riding again. So it was cool. It was nice to get to ride with those guys and be on the program. And that's what makes his place so good, is just the structure to it. So it was good to experience that.
Yeah, I think that's got to be phenomenal. I mean, obviously, in the fanboy aspect, it's like, holy crap, that's got to be absolutely amazing. But as the professional that you are, a professional dirt bike racer, did you do anything like what you learned there? Like, was it so foreign to you, or was it close to maybe a program that you'd followed in the past? You know what I mean? Like, how different or how similar was it to what you were doing before?
I mean, it was pretty similar. I mean, you get up, you go, go to the gym, go road biking, and, row a little bit and then ride. But the biggest thing was just, like I said, was the structure and how he lays it out, and just how he calculates each day. And everything is based off of a number. And, that's how he, comes up with the program and the structure and builds it specifically to you. So,
wow.
That's
and spend some time to get ready for the GNCCs. We did it. He wanted to know the reasoning behind moving to Florida, and why do you pick the area of the state that you go to instead of more south or more north, like a lot of the motocross guys when they go down there?
Well, I mean, I'm not moving to Florida for good. I have a piece of property down there, and I just got that last year. So I'm not going to live down there per se, but I'll spend 3 months at the beginning of the year down there, and I'll probably this year go down, make a trip down the next few weeks, probably to drop some stuff off, and then come back home and go back down after Christmas, and then I'll be there until March. So, just in the area I'm in, it's not far from Alden's place, and KTM's made a deal with Alden next year and with Charlie Mullins. So Charlie's going to be working underneath of Alden, and coaching or training the off-road, the KTM off-road team. So we'll be using his facility, and I'll be able to stay at my place in Florida and kind of have that same structure and same balance to my program at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, well, obviously it worked great last year for the time that you did all that. So to see that go into the fruition of a potential full year, right, or at least earlier in that time, and then is the Charlie Mullins, is that going to be for the full year, or is that more of a specific time like your time with Alden was last year?
Yeah. No, it's going to be with Charlie. He's the team trainer.
Okay.
I'm sure it's probably a multi-year deal that he has with KTM Off-Road to do this. I think that's one of the ways that KTM was able to acquire him to do that, because he had other offers to go do other things. But so he's got a firm place for the next couple of years to train the off-road team, and it's going to be structured through Alden and ran by Charlie. So Charlie's a pretty gnarly dude. He's always been a guy that's a hard worker. So, and I get along with him really well. So I'm looking forward to it. And I don't live too far from Charlie, so when we come back home the middle of the year, we don't need to spend time in Florida. And I'm not sure how everything's going to work out, but I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for letting us know. We didn't know anything about that, and that's awesome. So I'm gonna have to call Charlie and congratulate him, because I think a lot of people in the off-road world, like, it would honestly be if you were to have a detrimental injury all of a sudden, we would be like, oh my gosh, like, and we would always just kind of wonder, and hope for the best kind of a situation. So it's good to hear that not only did Charlie find a fantastic place to go, but that he had multiple offers of things to go do. So we're talking about 4-time GNCC XC1 champion. That's pretty gnarly shit, dude. Like, congrats. I mean, is there a bigger word that we should use at this point? I don't know if congrats really covers all the greatness of it. So now that it's happened, season's over, you're able to sit down with a fine Pilsner and just discuss it, right? Like, holy shit, like, what does someone like yourself say in that situation?
It's probably different depending upon the person, but I'm not too high strung on what I've accomplished so far. I mean, I'm happy, but I don't show it like some people may. But I'm a pretty relaxed guy and pretty mellow about things like that. So we still got work to do. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, man. That's gosh darn it. Like, it's got to be tough. I can only imagine when you were an XC2 racer, or maybe even a younger dude, in the youth ranks of the GNCC, coming up going, one day I want to be a GNCC XC1 champion. And do you think that, was there ever a time that was like you wanted to be a multi-time, but not also multi-time, but 4-time in a row champion? I mean, do little kids dream like that? I was never good enough to have those dreams, so I don't know.
It's a funny question, because growing up, I had my mind focused on what I wanted to do, and it was to race motorcycles. I didn't really care. At the time growing up, I don't think I was old enough to know that motocross and supercross was so much greater.
Uh-oh. We're going to see what happened here. We might have just lost him really quick. So if that seems to go out, Steven, obviously
I have my wanting to be, a professional racer as a job, and I never really let anything deter me from, reaching that goal. And I never really thought to myself about how good I wanted to be or anything. It just kind of, all kept developing along the way. And yeah, I mean, my whole mentality about racing and what I do has changed so much, from 4 years ago compared to even 10 years ago. So
Right.
it's still everything's still in a developing stage in my mind. I feel like.
Man, and that's tough to think about because I know sometimes I'm like it's tough for me to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work out for like the 5:30 class, and I'm literally doing that. I'm up at 5:30, right? Like that's my goal. Like that's why I go work out. So it's gotta be crazy that that's the motivation is to always continue spectacular. Well, let's talk a little bit about the beginning of the season. So you only had 3 losses throughout the year, which I think being on the podium every single time is pretty awesome, but I would imagine third and then second from Florida and Georgia. Were you still healing fairly well, or not? Maybe not fully recovered 100% from your knee surgery, I believe it was from that happened at the ISDE.
Yeah, I mean, well, most of the time, coming back from ACL reconstruction, the doctor tells the mandatory time 6 months. And I started riding at 3.5, and then my first race was basically just over 4 months. So I was pretty timid still. My knee was still swelling up when I was riding and racing, and in Florida I was definitely a little cautious. I feel like I didn't have the same kind of mindset coming into the race. I had other stuff going on in my mind, like what if I get hurt? What if this and that? I wasn't in the correct mindset to go and actually feel like to race where I know I can. And it took me an hour and a half to realize that I was fine. And once everything started clicking, because I came back from like outside the top 10 overall to get on the podium, and I didn't get on the podium until the last 2 or 3 corners. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
was a struggle, but yeah, and then bike fitness came into a play there in Georgia, and I was pretty beat. In the back of the ambulance after the race, getting an IV, and caught some hell from not making the podium. But I think my health's more important than standing on the podium.
Oh gosh, yeah, gosh, yeah. And then unfortunately, the third time that you weren't winning races, that was that. And again, it's tough sometimes to be in the middle of the country. Like you can only read so many race reports and know what the heck is going on half the time. But that's actually one. Is that the one where you DNF'd?
Yeah, that was the
And
one where I DNF. That's where all the drama with String and I coming
okay,
together.
you guys need
Yeah,
to stop making out in the woods, man. It's just weird for everybody.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Okay. Now let's. Now, is there anything else before I feel like 4-time GNCC XC1 champion. I should give you the opportunity to say if there's anything about the GNCCs that you might want to just bring up that I didn't even talk about.
You're gonna have to repeat that. You're breaking up there.
Sorry,
Sorry.
man. So yeah, no, just from having done so well at the GNCCs for the past 4 years, is there anything that has happened maybe this past year that you wanted to bring up that I didn't ask about before we talk about some other junk?
I mean, it's no, not really. I mean, this year was, it started off pretty tough for me, but I was, you know, it ended up working out pretty good, winning, my fourth GNCC title, uh, most race wins in GNCC in a year, and then winning the ISDE. So, I mean, it was a pretty good year. I mean, I last year I thought was really good, and it would be hard to top it. But this year I think was a little bit more special. Rebounding from being injured, and then winning 6 days as well.
Yeah, that was the direction that I was going to be heading was going into the International 6-Day Enduro. So it's funny to have read quite a few times how you say you used to be afraid of going to the ISDE. And I wanted to know if you could kind of expand on that. If what was it maybe about that style of race or that race that potentially had you scared?
So bikes and having us that comes along with it. I was just scared. Live with letting myself down, but I hate to let other people down. Minimize one, right?
Right. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I just wanted some a little bit of some clarity there. So with being kind of the overall leader at one point, fighting for that back in 2015 at the ISDE, and then fighting kind of for that too as well with Taylor Robert and some of the other guys at 2016, is there a big difference when you're competing potentially to try to win the overall as a rider, but then at the same time trying to win the overall as a team? Like, how stressful can that get to have? Because I think it would be two different mindsets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I had to worry about it. Like I said, it's about doing as good as I do, and I was. It progressively got worse. So to do my best, it was just being stupid to lead as a team. I was really trying to be test anymore.
Grass track, right? 6:36, and first was let's see, Jesse Grome, and he was a 5:56, so he's 40 seconds faster than me, right? And it's just insane that can be 55 people, right, in between that in 40 seconds. And even for you guys literally start to break it down sometimes into the milliseconds, not just the seconds. And that's absolutely crazy that you guys are going that fast. So I hope that puts it into a little bit of perspective for people about just how equal, but at the same time different you guys can be as riders. I think it's just absolutely insane. So the ISD, go ahead.
It definitely produces a lot of tight racing, and the way the tests are set up, it's almost once you lose time or if something happens, it's unless you're the clear fastest guy, and you got all the momentum and everything's working for you. It's almost impossible to make up any time or huge chunks. You just kind of each day, if you're riding really good, to win the thing, you do exactly what Taylor did. You just be really consistent, just kind of nickel and dime people, and try to minimize mistakes. And he was really good at that this year, and obviously it paid off. I mean, he only won by 15 to 20 seconds or something was that? So,
right, yeah, and that's still stupid close too. But it's just nuts.
But I mean, like I said, if you lose 20 seconds a day, it's almost impossible to make that back up, especially you don't have the momentum, and it's not like a GNCC at all. 20 seconds is nothing. That's catching a lapper in the wrong spot. So
right, that's crazy.
It's crazy. Just how different the two formats are.
And the national, is that the word, bird?
That's the word. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean,
there it is.
I really like my gig now, just GNCCs only. But I did it once and I was happy with that. And I was telling my dad, I might not ever race enduros again, but ended up, having to make some changes and to be in the position I wanted to be in with KTM for my career. It was the best thing to do is race them. So I'll probably be racing them for the next 4 years, along with the GNCCs.
Wow, it's gonna be wicked because we've got a 2015 and 2000. You guys took me out this that. Like, holy shit. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to see that kind of going on. We've heard a little bit of stuff about Sherco potentially coming. Obviously, we know Beta is going to be kind of showing up more. It's going to be neat, man. I think that Gas, Jubal Brown's going to be kind of running some of that. So we're seeing some smaller European teams starting to form again to kind of come into the National Enduro Series for next year. So it'll be neat to see how that all flushes out. I mean, you guys are the guys to beat at this point, but it'll just be good to see a lot more guys under some factory tents having fun out there racing the National Enduros with y'all.
Yeah, it's I've never. It's not that I don't enjoy the series. It's just their format and how the tests are laid out and stuff. I just kind of always had the wrong attitude towards it, and I'm really I'm going to be riding 250F in them next year, but when the time comes around, I'll be ready. And like I said, I'm going to be racing for the next 4 years, so um, I'm going to make sure I'm ready because anytime I'm on a motorcycle, I want to be able to do the best that I can. So I definitely don't want to be getting smoked every round and not being prepared. So that's no fun at all.
Yeah. Ooh, good question in the chat room, and I want to ask this before we let you go. Thoughts on the new ISDE format this year with the different size of the teams? Any positive, negatives, any of that kind of thought process through that?
I think it's, I think it's, I think it's good for the American team, just because it's really hard to find 6 good riders. Not saying that we don't have 6 good riders, but the French have a deep pool to pick from. The Aussie team has a pretty deep pool to pick from, but it seems like every year when 6 days comes around, there's it's hard to find 6 dudes that are 100% healthy that are able to go and actually win or even playing field for all. And so you got to be really solid. And I'm had bad. Italy made it all the way to day 5 before they were kind of out of it. So it's I think it's good and bad. 6 guys, you have 1 drop per day for each guy. So if something does happen, but as far as I don't know, I feel like we have more of a chance with sending really 4 really fast dudes because, like I said, France has 6 dudes that can be in the top 10 pretty easily, and if you got 6 guys that are capable of being in the top 10 overall, then you're pretty much going to smoke everybody.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I would have enjoyed is that if I say it like I was a racer, would be if you had 5 riders and one of those was a drop. I feel like it kind of sucks that it just seems that in 6 days there is so much that can happen, and it just feels like that having that drop kind of gave everybody that little extra that extra wild card, and made
Yeah.
it. But 4 days racing dirt bikes and not losing a single dude, that in itself is an accomplishment, right? Like, and then to go and win, that makes it even that much more impressive. Shows up next year.
Yeah, next year's going to be tough for sure, and because like I said, the French guys are they've got a lot of talent. They race that format 24/7, and they're going to be on home soil. So if we can put it to them there, that'd be pretty. That would I think that would be bigger than the first win in my eyes. But
Right.
the first win would be awesome. As a spectacle. But without them there, there's a little bit of an asterisk beside of it. But if we could go next year and beat the French, that would be pretty big.
That'd be a much bigger suck it, France, if you were in France while beating them. Okay, last question before we let you go. I apologize. So you weren't at the full gas sprint enduro this year, and it sounds like from what's going on with KTM that may not be a plan for 2017. Is there a chance to see you out at a couple of those next year or anything like that? It seems that people are really still enjoying that format and that it's continuing to grow. We just didn't know, why you guys may have not have been there this year.
Yeah, that's something I was kind of bummed about, even though I wouldn't have made the first round or two because I was still kind of injured and GNCC took priority. But I really enjoy them. I like the format and it's fun. The 2 days, but it's KTM's not supporting it. So I honestly I don't see myself going to any just for that fact. I know a lot of guys. I have people hitting me up on Facebook and sending me direct messages on Instagram all the time wanting me to come do these races. They're like, oh, we got a $2,500 purse and this and that. it's one thing that like people don't understand is for me, like it's not worth you know, the little bit of money that I could make isn't worth, you know, the risk of what I could lose if something did happen, you know, because winning a GNCC or National Enduro, you know, is way more important, way more money than, you know, making 2,500 extra bucks. You know, it may sound a little odd saying, oh, you know, kind of throwing away money, but, you know, in my eyes, if I can't make, you know, 10 grand one weekend because I tried to make 25 the next weekend and got hurt, and then, you know, can't win a championship, then, you know, it's definitely not worth it. So, yeah, I really typically don't do anything that KTM doesn't support, doesn't send a mechanic to, or doesn't have the semi there. So,
Yeah, and that's why you did the TKO in 2015. You ever gonna do that again? Say it. No, I'm
probably
not.
not.
You did not look
really
like you had fun at that event.
Well, actually, I had a lot of fun.
Oh, come on now.
I had a lot of fun until you know, until it started raining, and then I was kind of over. I ran into some issues when it started raining, and
Yeah, me. You remember that?
well, before that.
Okay,
good. Because I was pretty much, you know, I was the third fastest guy that year up until the point where it started raining. Then I got stuck on this one hill, and I got my bike wedged really awkwardly on a hill. It was really steep, and Grant Baylor and no help allowed there, but people were actually helping me get my bike off because, I mean, we would have had to cut the damn tree down to get it off the side of the hill.
Ugh.
But yeah, after that, I was kind of just over it, and it got worse and worse. And like I said, I really enjoy that type of riding, you know, to ride it, but racing, it's completely different. It's so specialized now, and it would take up a lot of my time to, you know, hone in on those skills needed to, you know, even be competitive at all. So it's like I said, it's not worth my time anymore. As fun as it is, it's not really worth my time because, I mean, the chances of me winning are slim to none unless, you know, Cody closes.
Yep.
And, you know, a bunch of other fast people. So.
Agreed. Well, cool, man. Well, congratulations on being such a badass on a dirt bike, and obviously, and thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us. I wish that at some point in my lifetime I could make it to enjoy some lake time with you, because I feel like riding dirt bikes with you would be fun to some degree, but I feel like jet skis and then beers afterwards would be like the nth degree better than just riding dirt bikes with you. So I just hope that one day in my life, jet skiing up on the stand-up jet ski. Great. It's all about turning. The second you have to turn that fucking thing, I'm like, bloop. It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm sober.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. Damn it. All right, I'm about to start drinking earlier. 8 a.m. it is. Saturday morning at the lake. Somebody opened me up a 24-pack of Miller Lite. We're getting wasted.
Yeah, and then it's after when it gets dark, then it's straight to bow fishing when there's no racing going on. So
I have no idea how to do that, but I will definitely be your best male cheerleader as you're catching fish with bows, because I don't have a clue how to do that.
I think you'd have more fun if you went with the Baylors and went bow fishing than me. I think they get a little bit more wild on the boat. So
interesting. I think he's just saying that because he wants me to get raped.
It may happen.
I'm not going to tell you it won't. Well, hell yeah, dude. Well, we appreciate you for being you and spending some time with us here talking on the internet about dirt bikes and being badasses. So keep it up, have fun, and yeah, just good luck with next year, and hope everything keeps going your way.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We'll see you guys later.
Yes, sir. Peace. All right. So I was going to say, obviously, thank you very much to Kailub Russell for coming on the show. That's always a good time. We were talking a little bit earlier about fly racing. So it is coming into the winter months. So if you want to learn anything about the winter gear that they do have, you can obviously go learn more about that at flyracing.com. And then, of course, your local dealer is a great place to check that out. If you want to, you can use the Rocky Mountain links that's in our descriptions and on the websites. You can use that to go purchase something off of Rocky Mountain. If you don't support your local dealer, that does give us a little percentage of a kickback. So that's just a great way to help the show if you want to do that in any shape or form. And then WPS, the owner, the distribution for Fly Racing, is now the Alpine Star distributor in the state. So that's big for those dudes for sure. So congrats to those guys for getting that going. And then, of course, Kenda Tire. So KendaTire.com. You can, the Ibex and the Equilibrium. If you do any kind of off-road racing, those are two tires that you have to try for sure. You need to make sure the Equilibrium works great in, I would say, about 75 to 80 of the situations out there. If you're going to be getting a little bit gnarlier and situations where you may be needing to turn and lean the bike over a little bit more, you want to have the Ibex. It is such a gnarly, badass tire, and love the crap out of it. And again, there you can shop for all of that stuff on Rocky Mountain. The Ibex you can only purchase right now from SRT Off-Road. So that'll be the way to do that. And then, of course, SRT Off-Road. SRT Off-Road you can get from srtoffroad.com. Go do that. Purchase that from there. You may be able to get it from Rocky Mountain. That I don't know because internet. There's stuff all over it, and you buy things. It's all about if you want to help seed time or not. But just make sure you keep riding dirt bikes and having fun doing it. So, Jacob, I am going to try to pronounce your last name. And we're going to see how close I get. Just before I go for it, though, where are you from originally?
Originally, well, you mean like where's my family from or where am I from?
Yeah, that's a tough one, too. Let's go with you, and then we'll see if I can work
I'm
this situation.
From Palm Desert originally.
Palm Desert. Is that California?
Yeah, that is like the lowest desert in California.
Okay. I feel like that would have a little bit of a Spanish tinge to it. I'm going to F this up so bad. I'm just going to say Michna because I know it's wrong. But
wrong.
Yeah.
It's actually Yugoslavian.
Whoa, okay.
And it's you got to think of it like Michael, so it's Michna.
Michna?
Michna.
Never would have got there. But I guess that's true. If we'd have gone with the family aspect of it, I may have screwed it up less. I don't know.
Maybe a little less.
I don't know that I wouldn't have screwed it up at all, but at the same time, I may have screwed it up just a tad bit less. So, dude, thank you for coming on the show tonight. How the heck is it going for you over in your neck of the woods?
It's going great. I'm really busy this year, being that I'm the new director as of June for the National Hare and Hounds and the West Hare Scramble series, and also full-time videographer for both of those series, USDR. And I just got a call from Mac, basically film his team out in Baja this year, and I'm basically Justin Morgan, if he calls me back, to go out there and film them all the way through Baja. So
nice. Well, that's
pretty
good.
Exciting.
Yeah, being busy sometimes isn't the worst thing. It's just one of those situations. How long can you make it last, right? It's kind of like, well, I feel like burning at both ends at some point, unfortunately, but you'll figure that out, and you'll go, you know what? I'm going to sleep tonight and not work on that project, and it'll still be okay.
Exactly, and it's very hot and cold. You'll be like, oh, man, I'm so bored, but I'm also a full-time student, so I don't get that bored. But so, yeah, and then other times it's just like, oh, wow, there's so much going on, I don't know what to do. So, yeah, it's either hot and cold.
So you're a full-time student, too?
Yes, I'm a full-time student, too. So, basically, I'll go out to a Hare and Hound and, set it up like Thursday night we head out there, set up Friday, and then beeline it back on Sunday as soon as the race is over, as soon as we get all of our equipment thrown in. We head back. And then I get to try to catch up with any homework I have left, edit video Monday, and then I have school Tuesday through Thursday, and then repeat, go to Hare Scramble after that, for example. So it gets pretty hectic.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm married with 3 kids, and I try to keep up with the amount of things that I feel like I'm trying to keep up with. But if I were to add school into that mix, I don't know. Steven, do you think school is crazy as 3 kids or 3 kids school? What do you? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
I give a shit more about my kids than school. So
That's true. I do give a shit more about my kids than school. But I'm like, technically, I'm not paying for my kids right now. Just once they be paying, works. It all comes back around to school. These bastards, they keep getting me.
Yeah, exactly.
It sucks. Well, dude, so when you found out that you were now taking over the National Hare and Hound and the West Coast Hare Scramble Championship, like what were you going through your mind? Like, how did you crap? I'm going to be taking this on.
Mexico round, and Eric pretty much, was walking around, and he had asked me for that. Do you want to be the director? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm really pursuing the video thing, and then but I had helped Eric at his GXE series and all this stuff, so I'd pretty much helped Eric a lot of races between VCMC, GXE, and then being at all the races, the Hare and Hounds with them. He was like walking around New Mexico and telling people like, and here's the new director, Jake McNa, and I was like, okay, and he told everyone that, so it was kind of like, okay, I guess I'm the director then, and pretty much it was sink or swim and had to figure out a lot of things, but I've had great help with Gargi Bright, who has she's our chairman for the Hare and Hound Association, and she has a lot of ideas to bring to the table. So it's great working with someone that wants to make the series better, who understands like the new business plan with off-road, I guess you could say, and not just living in the past. So we have a lot of great things we're working for the Hare and Hounds, and me, working in the video thing, I have like kind of like the media idea of how to make this series grow and, become bigger in the media world. So it's been a big feat.
Awesome. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, granted, we've all seen, if you pay attention to anything in this show, you've all seen my lack of ability to ride, like time-wise, just completely diminish. It has fallen off the face of the map. I think I've ridden the dirt bike 6 times, and like at least 3 of those have been races. Like, it's that pathetic. But I do very much pay attention. I do ask my friends, like, hey, how are the series doing? What are you enjoying? What do you dislike? And one of the biggest things is that they do not change. Like, it is the Texas Enduro State Championship Series, from the people that I talk to, which are people that I do listen to what they have to say, and I respect their voices and things like that. It seems like they're making it more like a boys' club. It's more like we're going to, and it's not that they're totally stuck in the past. It's just that they're making decisions that are it just keeps continuously closing off the access from other people. So, to your point, I'm glad that you guys are very specifically trying to make sure that you're moving the series forward, right? It's not one of those things where it's like, well, this has worked so long for the Hare and Hound in the past, so let's just keep doing that and see what, if that works. Yeah, that's tough though. I mean, how much like flack have you gotten from any possible changes or rules changes or stuff like that?
It's funny you say that, because we have, our series is similar in the way the national enduros work is we're dealing with clubs. So a lot of the time the clubs and stuff in the way that it's like some of those clubs are kind of set in their old ways, but they want ridership is a big thing. So we kind of have to step in and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. But yeah, we have gotten a lot of flack for certain ideas, like bringing in Mark Pitts, for example, something we want to bring on. And it's just, it's a fight, but in the end, a lot of the times they see our way, and it's great because we have a lot of clubs that are willing to work with us. So
that's crazy. And it's interesting to me. Like, I remember I didn't even realize that, say, like NEPG, that they were like a club-driven organization until my dad, who was a part of the Arkansas Dirt Riders there in Arkansas when one of the nationals came to there. Now, granted, they got totally screwed because of weather. Those guys typically put on a much better race, but shit happens, and it just didn't go their way. But that was when I was like, holy crap, wait, you mean clubs put these on? Like, that's insane. Yeah. And that was when, honestly, like, that's kind of when it came to light. I was like, oh, wait, that's what happens with the Hare and Hound too. That's when you can kind of see that differentiation. But what that also tells you is just how in-depth the enthusiasts are in those certain areas about not just dirt bikes, right, but about their to really see how enthused everyone is about what you guys are trying to grow.
Exactly, and I have such great respect for these clubs and I used to be in quite a few different clubs back in the day when I was racing. These guys have full-time jobs, kids that they're trying to get through school and everything, and they take the time to go and basically put on these events that require so much work and ahead of time. So it's great, and they do it all free out of their own time and greatness in their hearts to put on these races. So,
yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about too, Jacob, some of the stuff that we had talked about in text messages, stuff like that. So it seems like this year that you guys had a pretty good battle there between Jake and Ricky there towards the end. Obviously, not just for points and things of that nature, but also like there was a couple good battles. Ooh, boy, that beer is good tonight. Between those guys, right? So you kind of being the director and paying attention and being on the back end and watching all of this stuff come to fruition. Like, what was that like for you? In your position.
Well, see, I'm also the videographer, and I know a lot of these guys personally as well. And I get to hang out with like Jake a lot, and I get to talk to Ricky quite a bit, and Nick Burson, get to hang out with him, and Justin Morgan. So I see a lot of their behind the scenes stories and the effort that goes into the racing as well. And then I see them at the races and get to do their interviews and kind of try to get to have them reveal what's actually going on. But it's pretty intense. Like, Ricky kind of, when I interviewed him, he was kind of like, I only need to get above like 6. So I'm not too worried about, getting the championship at this last round. But I'm sitting there like, man, if anything happens wrong with your bike,
right?
It's over if Jake, wins. So, and then Jake's over here like, I gotta win, no matter what, I gotta win. And he's totally going through these different nervous things that I'm seeing, that a lot of the people at home don't see on the camera. And it's pretty cool to see it. And, the effort that these guys put into it is quite amazing, especially since it's a series that, I'm directing for. It means a lot. It's kind of a big deal. You don't really realize it when you're there, but when you go home, you're like, wow, man, these guys really put in a lot, to these races that I'm directing. So it's pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah. Man. And so when you're at these events, like, who do you deliberate to, how do you put off duties, right? Like, how does that work for you guys when you're out? Oh, I got to go video, got to be over here, got to go do this. Like, but maybe you can't be reached by radio, or I'm only on radio, I can't go deal with X, right? Is that something that now, like, maybe Meg is in a capacity to go to be able to deal with that, or is there some another second, third man hand to go handle that?
Basically, what we found, and we've kind of experimented with it, is a lot of the stuff that you deal with, like at the Hairnouts, for example, is like before the races and then like right before the banner drops. But during the actual banner drop, I found like a lot of the stuff to deal with doesn't really need to be dealt with until after I get back to finish, filming them coming into the finish line, for example. So I'll be there a lot of the times. Other than that, I have pretty good radio contact. I try to get like near a hill or something when I'm out filming, so that way they can still reach me. And also, I have my phone too, so they text me if there's any issues. Other than that, Meg is there to deal with a lot of the stuff, so it's not usually too big a deal. But at like the next round of the hair scrambles, for example, the administrative team between Eric's mom, Melissa Kudla, and my girlfriend, Carly McClay, who all work signups and scoring. And they're learning as experience goes too, as we go do all these different events. But I'm pretty confident in their knowledge because they have worked with Eric a lot, so they have a lot of his knowledge. And so far, it's been going great as far as me going out and filming and being able to deal with issues when I get back.
Right. So now that we've got 2016 done, right? You've got the West Coast Hair Scrambles coming up November 12th. You got Baja going to do that. We're moving into 2017. What are we looking at? What are some changes? What are some ahas? What are some gotchas? Or what are some, this is going to be bitchin'. This is going to be pretty cool. Let's have some fun doing this. Like, talk us through what 2017 is looking like.
Well, first of all, we got Taylor Robert coming on to race 2017, which is awesome because he killed it at Caliente. So it's going to bring a lot of cool
KTM saw that and was like, holy shit, you're racing the National Hairnouts.
Exactly. KTM contacted me before then, like, so yeah, we need to get Taylor Robert a number and all this stuff and get him entered. And I'm like, holy crap, Taylor Robert's coming. This is going to be rad. And I wasn't sure how well he was going to do considering races in Durocross and all that. And then all of a sudden he just owned it. And he would just like come in and putt into the finish line. And then he was just full on throttle out there, and watching him ride was pretty cool. But it'll be interesting. I hope he does well next year. I think it's going to be interesting as the train goes, seeing the different riders like battle Jake and Ricky and all them, because those guys are on such a completely crazy level. To see Taylor get involved with that too is on this other level too. It's going to be pretty intense. So ridership wise, it's going to be cool seeing them. As far as other stuff we're bringing on, we have 10 rounds now instead of 8. So that's pretty exciting. We're bringing in New Mexico as a new one, so we get to go a little further east. I think that's our farthest drive. And then also,
was that the one that was the makeup this year? So that was, and then but you're bringing it in as an official one for this year or for next year?
So it was a makeup one. We're doing it as a different, actual different event in New Mexico. So that one was more like I guess you could say a hare scramble type format, except it still was it's technically a hare now because you're doing 25-mile loops. It's based on mileage, not time. But we're doing an actual, I guess you could say, more traditional hare and hound based event in New Mexico.
Ooh.
So it's going to be exciting.
So you're saying I should come.
You should definitely come because it's as close as we get to you as far as national hare and hounds go.
This is true.
So you better be there.
I've been trying to make the Desert 100 for years, and 2017 might be the only chance I'll ever have to do it. So it's like, I'm like, well, I don't know. I like ride dirt bikes though, so we can make it happen. I might ride my dirt bike 7 times next year, and it'll be at the National Hare and Hound in New Mexico.
Perfect. That works. And if you go, you can ask me whatever brewery you like here in SoCal, and I'll bring a 6-pack of your liking for you. How about that? Sound like a deal?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe even a 12-pack, maybe.
Stop it. Don't make me get weird with you, boy. Well, that'll be fun coming to New Mexico and into 10 rounds. So where are some of the other rounds coming in at?
We have, as far as the hare and hounds go, some of them are still up in the air. We do have some more SoCal District 37 events that we're bringing on. We're working on getting SoCal in there, MC, which will be exciting. Possibly Checkers MC, who puts on a great event. We also have our other Nevada rounds that we traditionally did this year. We have 2 rounds in Idaho, which is exciting. I loved Idaho. So we have them. I could bring up the schedule, but it's pretty exciting. A lot of them are still tentative, but that's exciting for the hare scrambles. We're really stoked because we're working on that East Coast, West Coast shootout.
That'll be wicked. That'll be wicked cool.
Hopefully we're going to land that somewhere in Missouri. That's all still up in the air, but it's going to be pretty rad because I've never traveled that far east ever in my life. The furthest I've ever been is South Dakota, so I'm really amped on it. It's going to be like a 20-hour drive pretty much for both of us. So everyone on the far East Coast and everyone on the far West Coast.
And I think that's smart. Is it so in Missouri? And I like that too. Like I know this is a little different from what happened at Big Sky in 2013. But the only thing, that property that those guys had that race on was absolutely phenomenal. Like we all should have paid so much more money to go have done what we did at that ski resort. But the problem is that guys on the East Coast drove like 50 hours, heavy, which I like. And Central Coast, holy shit, Middle Lives Matter. We need something, right? Like, we're here.
Yeah, exactly. So, you see the East hare scrambles, which is big, but I think we're going to get like a big amount of riders coming, from Texas and stuff like that don't get to necessarily make the drive to East Coast races and then don't really make the drive to West Coast. So, yeah, we get to make those mid races, which is really exciting. Bring on a whole different type of racers that might be like, yeah, maybe I want to go make that drive to the East hare scrambles or to the West hare scrambles. So that's exciting.
Quickly, what's the format for how those events would kind of come together? Like, do you guys kind of know what that format would look like, or can you talk us through what the hare scramble on either end look like so we know ish? Is it like a 2-hour, hour and a half, 3-hour?
Typically our races are about like 2.5 to 3 hour races. 3 hours usually is when people are like, oh man, that's so long. So I think we're going to keep it around 2.5 hours, but it's still up in the air. So don't come yelling at me when it's, like 2 or 3 further on the free ends. But we're still working on that detail right now. Right now, we're just trying to basically lock in our the area we're doing it, and then the time, of course, because you have to take in consideration for all the different events when we're doing this, like endurocross, rallies, just everything. And it seems like the day we're looking at is going to be hopefully something where no other races, it looks like, landed on that weekend. So we're pretty amped.
You just mentioned something, and it pinged some interest in my head. You said endurocross, and it made me go, holy shit, endurocross changed their schedule this year, right? They went all back half of the season. Has that come up for you guys at all to kind of say, okay, well, maybe since a lot of these guys are West Coast riders, we might get more attendance, different attendance, things of that nature if you moved the series to be more of a front heavy to the year type of series?
I would say basically the teams come up to us on a sponsor conference and they express their concerns. So endurocross is something we obviously look out for a lot on the hare scrambles, because you got like Corey Graffunder, who just killed it at the hare scrambles, but he had endurocross and had to miss a lot of rounds. So I would say, yeah, it's exciting if we can work it out that way. Endurocross's schedule kind of pops out a little later in the year compared to everyone else, so it's a little harder for us to deal with. But yeah, I mean, like last year, I would say a lot of our true hare scramble rounds were in the beginning of the year, like up north. And towards the end of the year, we're getting more deserty rounds. But we're hopefully, another thing exciting too, is we're trying to have less desert rounds for the hare scrambles and have more of the traditional woodsy type races. Even if it's something like in Arizona where there's, I don't know, not that type of redwood style tree, but more
they're
bushy, higher bush tree.
They're like mesquite trees versus pine trees.
Exactly. So like Prescott, for example, is a really neat area. I think it would be really cool to have an event out there, even if we don't do it this coming year, but hopefully the following year, 2018 would be cool. So it's all stuff we take into consideration, especially with endurocross and like GP style races.
Yeah. So if you guys want to watch me, you may have seen this on the internet already, be an idiot, ridden in West Coast Texas, mesquite trees. You go to the middle of those things, they'll pull you off the bike. But, if you kind of brush the outside of it, it's not too bad. But so a cholla cactus got me. Hitting a cactus sucks. Search for that on YouTube, and you'll learn why desert is desert and trees are trees, and you don't want to take the same mindset into the same place because it will hurt, and it will hurt for a long time. It is not fun.
It is not.
No. Okay, so where should we all pay attention to for the East Coast West Coast type sheetout as it progresses and comes more to fruition?
We try to post a lot of our stuff on the social media pages. So as soon as we get like a confirmed date, we're going to blow that like crazy. That's going to be all over social media. So as soon as we lock that down, we won't hint towards you. It's just going to be like, as soon as we get it, it's going to be posted everywhere. Right. So, you'll know as soon as we do get that date for sure, 100% locked in.
Wicked. Well, that's what I'm excited for. That's cool, man. I'm glad to hear that something to that degree is coming back. It was really neat when it kind of came out of the woodwork for 2013 when we all went to Big Sky and had a good time. And I drank too much with Mr. Stuart Baylor. It was, it is what it is. But for this to come back and for everybody to get a chance to kind of be like, you know what, this is East Coast, this is West Coast. We're going to meet on semi-level playing fields out of anybody's really like backyard, and give everybody a chance to kind of like prove who's the bee's knees of racing off road from each coast. I think that'd be pretty cool. And
I mean, blowing us up is great. We're working on bringing a drone in for the videos for next year because GoPro just released that Karma, and it's finally a drone.
They did.
It's finally a drone that I feel comfortable like using, that I don't have to like whip out an iPad for and all this stuff, because it has its own remote and you can pop off the gimbal and put on a handle. So I'm like really pumped on that. Like this thing felt like designed for me, where I have to go back in the middle of the desert and film out there. So I'm hoping to bring in a lot better footage. We're trying to focus on the quad guys a lot more for 2017 too. Colt, I might say his name wrong. kind of a common theme tonight, Brinkerhoff.
Yes, it is.
Brought to our attention that, the quad guys obviously want exposure to, so we're pretty excited with that. I mean, shoot, there's a lot we're bringing on. We're trying to have designated pro pits. We're trying to bring more of the show. We're trying to get more, working on stuff to get like a hospitality area. And either it's like Rockstar, one of those energy guys, where basically you can see like a live feed of the racers as they go through, either at the hair scrambles each lap or whatnot. We might start experimenting with live tracking, which is exciting. We have had a couple of companies approach us, so I think 2017 we're really going to push for that. I think the technology is not quite there, but I think for 2018 it's probably going to be something that's really locked in. Other than that, I think there's so much I could think of that we're trying to bring in that it just overloads my mind. I mean, I have lists and lists on our Google Drive of just stuff that we want to bring on for 2017. It's just a lot of it is getting approved and obviously budgeting for it. So the vision's there. Also, Caselli Foundation is bringing in they approached me at the last round and basically want to have more consistency at each race. So we're doing a lot to have the Hare and Hound courses be a lot more consistent as far as the markings go and how they're marking everything. Paul and I are going to meet up. We're going to do like a special video for all the different clubs on basically how to have a consistent course marking. So that's great. They also reached at me for something like pre-entries, because right now our pre-entries it's great if you do it, but basically we want there to be a little something extra for you, whether it's like a free product thing or basically get through the line a heck of a lot faster. So overall, it's just going to be I would say an overall better show, an overall better thing for racers, a safer thing hopefully for racers, and something that I think a lot of businesses and companies are going to be looking out for the Hare and Hounds next year.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I look forward to it. I definitely is the 2017. Is that New Mexico date out there yet?
I can probably bring it up real quick. You can still see me, right?
Oh yeah. You look sexy.
Okay, cool. Because I haven't used.
Now we can tell that you didn't really do it
like an ex-girlfriend.
Now we can tell you didn't do that good of a job with your makeup.
Yep. Now you can tell. Okay. So New Mexico. We're looking early February.
Oh.
Is one of the rounds, but he just called me today. Actually, I just talked. No, that was in New Mexico. Sorry, my bad. I'm calling them tomorrow to set up a better date, or maybe a different date. But it looks like we're probably going to be leaning towards early February. So
okay,
I would mark your calendars for that.
All right. Well, we got to figure that out. As long as it's going to be Valentine's Day weekend, I know it. And my wife's going to be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Babe, they made this holiday up. I don't need to be in town for it. What happened? This is Hallmark's date, not."
We don't even mark Valentine's Day on our huge calendar. We have like every single event there ever is, period. And then we have all the different dates and holidays on there, and Valentine's isn't on there. So I'm sorry. I guess husbands and wives have difficulties when it comes to races. It's not on our calendar. My bad.
Dude, what's Tarantula 100? Is
that's the Hare and Hound version. So Tarantula 100 is the New Mexico Hare and Hound version race that I was talking about, where the last one was I forgot the name this year we did of it. It was called something else though, and it was also ended in 100. But the Tarantula 100 is the more Hare and Hound based race.
So do I get to do 100 miles?
Yeah, that's how pretty much all the Hare and Hounds have been. This last race was around 95 miles, so yeah, you'll be doing around 100 miles.
And what's my average speed?
In New Mexico, it's hard to say. I would say, average. I mean, a lot of our Hare and Hounds, like the District 37 ones that are a lot more technical, you're not going to be right canyons and stuff that aren't necessarily rocky technical, but really tight and twisty technical.
Wow. And so what does your girlfriend call you?
Like, what do you mean?
I'm actually, like, Jacob Argybright keeps texting me stuff. He's just like...
Oh. Can I use the F word on this show?
Sure.
I don't know if that's allowed. She calls me curly-headed fuck. And I just heard her laugh all the way in the other room when I said that right now.
Love it.
And
Well,
Jake, it's funny. I have a funny story because Jake at the last race, or one of the last races, he was riding and asked me a question, and then started riding away, and then stopped his motor, turned around, and looked at me and said, "Curly-headed fuck," and started his bike and rode off.
he's like, I gotta say
So that's
it.
a thing.
I gotta say it. I gotta say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because I've on my third beer and I like getting weird. Is that like a come on name, or is that just like still like a Thursday 2 p.m. kind of name? Is it like a Saturday 8 p.m. or like a just a?
Oh, I see. I would say it's like a 24/7 name, because especially at the desert races, because my hair, when it gets full of dust,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a huge mess of a fro. And I even made a post of it, like I start to look like Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon after a while. So it just starts to get all puffy and crazy.
That's pretty fantastic. I love that. That's awesome, dude. That I'm gonna go to bed tonight thinking about Mel Gibson in all the wrong ways, and I appreciate you for making sure that I have that mental block to.
No problem. I think it's still on Netflix too, if you want to get all nostalgic and watch all the Lethal Weapons.
Probably gonna happen, and I'm just gonna get my fourth beer. I'm gonna get in my little curly dirt bike PJs and just like go, yeah, Jacob. Last name I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time.
Michna. There you go.
Say it again.
Michna.
Yep. I'm never gonna remember that. But it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. I'm not the guy for it, and that's all right. Well, dude, I really appreciate you not only coming on the show tonight, but obviously taking the initiative to be talked into this by Eric Kudla, by him asking you one question, and that was a yes. But at the same time, for running with it, because it means a lot to this industry, a lot to people like myself that want to ride dirt bikes and want to have organizations out there that want to not only support the ability for us to have races, but to continuously improve those organizations. It really does suck when they get stagnant and stale and stay the exact same way. Now, granted, in 20 years, I may not say that because I'm going to be almost 60. I'm going to be like some like gray-haired dude who's going to be like, Jacob McNa, stop doing this to my series. But for now, I'm okay with it. Yeah. Back in my day, I just drank beer and talked about dirt bikes. Never rode them. But so yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I know the struggle, I know the hate, I know the hurt, and I know how sometimes it's not fun, and it's the times when it is fun. It's the times like these where we get to talk about it and truthfully enjoy it and be honest enthusiasts of the sport. That really does make it worth it. So hopefully you're getting that, and I appreciate it, and hopefully everybody else does too.
Yeah, I definitely love it. I love the opportunity to do this. I never thought I would be in this position this year, to be all honest, but it's great. And I mean, I know I have the time to put forward to this series, so I'm definitely going for it. I love the series so much. I'd love to see it grow, because I could have easily said no. And I was like, nope, do you know what? I love National Hare and Hound so much, I've got to do it. So
that's awesome,
and
dude.
Hare Scrambles too.
Well, I can only hope that one day in my lifetime I do get to a couple National Hare and Hounds. I really think that hitting up a couple in California and from what I hear, the one in Idaho always sounds phenomenal. And again, I know that this is by no means next year. It's just one of those things that throughout my lifetime, that every now and again I can make it to those, and that you can say, hey, I'm still a curly-headed fuck. And I can be like, hey, at least I can count on you, you son of a bitch, for just keeping it real, right?
Exactly. That's
awesome.
true.
All right. Well, National Hare and Hound, what's the website? Where can we find it?
At nationalhareandhound.com.
That's easy.
And then you can find, yeah, exactly. And then also you can find it at NHHA Racing on social media, so it's all on there, and you can follow along. Our Instagram page, we really try to keep like a live update. It's like a live update version. You can see the racers. Our social media guy goes out basically in the hills and posts as it's going on. So if you want to follow along with the races, that's the best way to do it, is on our social media.
Dig it, man. Well, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on Seat Time and for doing what you're doing. When you do get the karma, please let us know. We were hoping to. Not going to happen right now, but that's okay. We're going to figure it out, and one day we're going to around and we don't roll out the gimbal part of it and just use it and just go to town. So I really think that that's going to be very beneficial for dudes like ourselves and just like your everyday racers and enthusiasts. So let's have fun with it. Let's keep riding dirt bikes. And
Definitely.
keep putting on awesome races. I think that's good.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully sometimes racing too. That would be nice because I'm still a racer at heart. But now I'm putting them on, so it's like, well, I can't exactly race those ones. But hopefully Eric has some races coming next year that he's working on with ISDE that hopefully I can go hit that I'll be pretty stoked with. So
Dig it.
that's a whole nother topic though.
I know about this much about those, and you know that much. So
I didn't ask if I'm allowed to talk much about it, but hopefully next time I'm on the show, I'll be able to talk a lot about it.
I like it. Well, then we're going to have you on again, sir.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you very much for the time, Mr. Jacob Mcna.
Michna, you got it.
Bam, bitches, 3 beers, and I still got this. I'm learning new things.
Exactly.
Say you can teach an old dog new tricks. I'm in. Thank you very much for the time, sir, and we will definitely be chatting soon.
All right. Sounds good. We'll see you later.
Peace. So for you guys
Peace.
that's been turning in for so long of this episode that's been amazing, we really appreciate it. This has been Seat Time. This is the online show for the off-road enthusiasts. We're the beer drinkers and bench racers that love off-road, and we're the enthusiasts that want to make sure that everybody's having a good time out there. Of course, if you would like to support Seat Time, you can do that easily. SeatTime.co. Go to the website. There's an Amazon banner right there. All you got to do is click on that banner and go shop on Amazon. So it's one small step that you have to make, and it just gives us a quick percentage of that. Of course, what you can do, too, on top of that is go to the description of this episode if you're watching it or listening to it in the podcast or on YouTube or the site. And all of that, there's a link there to shop on Rocky Mountain ATV MC. And if you do that from that link, of course, yes, we do get a small percentage of that. Doesn't cost you anything extra. It just helps us out. So if any of that makes you want to support Seat Time by doing that, thank you very much. I just want to say again, thank you to our sponsors. So Fly Racing, you can find out more about Fly Racing at flyracing.com. Kenda Tire USA is at kendatire.com. And SRT Off-Road at srtoffroad.com. And, of course, I'm Brian Pierce. You can find me on the internet at Woody B. Pierce on all the fun little social channels out there. And Seat Time, Facebook, facebook.com/Seat Time. At Twitter, it's at SeatTime_CO. And on Instagram, it's at Seat Time. Definitely, if you've enjoyed any of this, tell us in the comments, give us a thumbs up, all that stuff. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You know how to do it. Make us famous because you like to click on things and talk to us, and we like that kind of stuff. We will be live again next week. We will not be live in 2 weeks just because of the fact that I am going to be out of town for work, and that's what it is. I can't do it. We've already tried that a couple times, and it was painful at best. So we're just going to go ahead and say, you know what? We're just going to take it easy for a little bit. I'll see you guys next week, and then 2 weeks after that. So remember, always enjoy a pint full of awesome, and we'll see you next week. Peace.